I really feel a need to read my Bible this morning, to spend time in my Bible, just hearing God. Like, I've been working hard the past couple days, like trying to figure out the business license for my nonprofit, United Under God. And first they were telling me I couldn't have a business license for what I was doing, and then I guess I really had to think about what I was doing, how, like, this is all a new project for me. I don't really know all the forms it's going to take or what it's really going to look like, but I just know that I want to help people, like broken people and broken men, and the divisions that we see. I mean, in general, I don't like any divisions, but especially among church people, like Christians. It makes no sense to me. Or you say, like, Jesus is the most important thing ever. Like, nothing else matters. It's the eternal. Focus on your eternal reward and your job. God's will, what He has for you, what the call that He placed on your heart. And then you turn around and you're like, oh, well, those people are different. Like, oh no, those people are the same. And especially if we're all Christians, the Bible clearly talks about, like, hey, we're all different pieces of the same body. We are united. We're supposed to be, like, united in thought and purpose. And if you're working on that purpose, if you're united in thought, if you're going after a purpose, then you don't have time, you don't have the desire to think about differences, to, like, create division. But man, when you're working in your purpose, like, that's all you have time for, and that's all you care to think about. Maybe all these divisions because people are too bored, so bored, because they're not working on their purpose, because they're not giving any time to God. People are just maybe going to work and then you're coming home watching TV. Well, then you're so saturated with just social media or news, or you're saturated by other people's thoughts. That's what TV does. TV, it doesn't matter if it's supposed to be funny or entertaining or whatever, you are not having your own thoughts. You are saturated by other people's thoughts. And it's like a really, really dangerous thing, our thoughts just get directed wherever they want us to go. I'm not talking like mind control, but like when your brain is turned off when you're watching TV. Like, if you watch 2 or 3 shows, well, you don't really know or remember what those shows were about, or even what they were. You just kind of blanked out. So TV is like a good medication for those who are hurting and miserable, and just to kind of get a break. But for like an everyday habit, which I've been falling into lately, it's not healthy, it's not productive, it's just a time waste. And then you're thinking that, well, you're just doing it just to turn your brain off, just to get some rest. Well, get some sleep. TV rest isn't resting, it's just turn your brain off. And Well, other people, the people that make those shows, I mean, it's their thoughts that are being like directly funneled right into your brain. I mean, if you're not having a thought, but you're awake and you're absorbing that thing, like that's like it's like speed learning. There was this scientist back in the 50s and 60s, and he was like Russian, I believe, and he was working on this concept of speed learning, and he was making like great progress with it. And it was like this great tool. Like you can learn a whole new language in like a week. And it was like, since it was like kind of in the heat of the Russian United States like conflict or disagreement, I guess there's always like a shroud of secrecy, with what Russia does, kind of keeping things to themselves. But it was this doctor who was performing all sorts of scientists, and he had schools for this, and he had teachings that he would send out or that he would go and he would conduct, and people were just absorbing huge amounts of information by being like awake but unconscious, kind of like we are when we're sitting in front of a TV. Like we're awake, but like kind of our boundaries are down, our guards are down. We're just like mindlessly absorbing whatever it is that happens to come on the screen. We're not thinking about it, but it gets in our mind. And the scientist, he was putting people kind of in like a conscious but not aware state, like almost like a meditative. It was they had special chairs, big comfy chairs. They played music that was like especially formulated to help people relax. It was like low and slow and soft, and to help get like your brain waves in a certain like receptive mode. I don't think they got into lights though. Or TV obviously is a light like that. You pass by somebody's room, they're watching TV, and there's that cool blue glow. It's, wonder if lighting helps at all. But they would say, if somebody wanted to learn another language, well, like while you're in that meditative, like semi-conscious state, the people would read words to you. Some words would be fast, some would be slow, some loud, some soft. Like there was varying range, because I guess your mind couldn't turn off completely. You had to keep it alert and awake to a certain level. And while they were doing this, it was so like you have the comfy chair, or I guess your comfy couch. You have certain music, or like the soundtrack of a TV show or a movie. You have varying tones and speeds in the words that are delivered. Not like a creation of a show, I guess. But these people, they would learn like 3,000 words of another language in a day. And like they would just have to hear it once and they would know it. And called like speed learning. And for some reason, at some point, I guess like Russia stopped sharing information altogether. And everybody, I guess people kind of considered it to be kind of hokey, so maybe they stopped experimenting, or maybe it's just what the government does, you know, kind of behind closed doors with, you know, all the money in the world that they have. And but who knows? It was the Russian government doing it. Who knows? American government might be doing it too. But it'd be a fantastic tool. I mean, great to work on, even if it didn't turn into nothing, even if it didn't turn into anything. Anyway, TV's kind of a lot like that, where you're absorbing whatever it is, and like you're not just absorbing words, but you're absorbing thoughts and emotions. And I mean, you're, in a way, depending on the movie, you're basically living out that scene. You're just kind of absorbed in it, and you're absorbed in the characters and the plot and the sounds. And I believe that the decisions and the content that is used, that is displayed in these shows, that we can absorb those beliefs. We can absorb those decisions that the people make. Right, we might, if we'd never seen TV before, if we go, you know, a year or something without watching TV, and your time is studied and stayed on something like wholesome, you know, books, reading, you're in the Bible, you're, instead of just sitting around, you're out serving other people. And your spirit starts to heal, kind of gets back to that, it's like, in a way, kind of like childlike innocence, where you're not focused on all the blood, guts, cussing, and sex that you have in movies and just regular TV. Like your spirit can get real tender. Like I remember this is what I was doing. I was serving other people. Spent day and night just serving other people. It might have been about a year. I didn't have time for TV, you know. I was just out, either food trucks or picking up stuff that people donated, setting up for distributions, Bible studies, spending time just with my brothers that were part of the ministry. And then I guess it was when my wife left, and took the kids, and my life was just a wreck. You know, there was just so much pain that I needed something just to help me turn off, help me numb. And so I started watching TV again. I stopped going out and serving. I just withdrew from everything. And when I started watching TV, I was just like my soul just wasn't ready for like the graphic nature of the shows. I don't remember if it was like Avengers or something, or if it was something else, but I remember there was just killing. And you know, there was shots of blood and people dying, and it like shocked me. It was it like hurt my soul. Like, these were all movies that I had seen before, or something like them. But I don't know, I guess my heart had been softened. Maybe my mind had kind of lost its callous a little bit to the stuff that was on the screen. I mean, maybe not a little bit, but like, I guess we have a callus, you know? We have, I guess the best I can explain it, like if you watch one movie by yourself, then, you know, it's fine. Like you watch it, you enjoy it, and then you're like, man, that movie was great. I want to get my parents to go see it. And then you take your parents to see the movie, or I guess you don't really do that now. Movie theaters aren't really working. You pull up the movie, you stream the movie, and let your parents see it, and then you notice all the cussing, all the sex, all the immoral things. It's like your sensitivity is dialed up. So when we're not used to seeing all of that, like our own personal kind of callous or used to-ness is removed. We're not, like, we don't use it, so we lose it. Right? If you exercise, you build up and you can do more. If you start running, you run 1 mile a day, and you run every day, and you know, a month you'll run 2 miles or 10 miles or whatever. Like, our minds and spirits are like that with TV. Like a gateway or an entry drug or something. You start off with something small, and then you really work your way up to something severe, something serious. TV is that same way, you know, and this is something like we're willfully doing. Like, we pay money so that we can do it. We make capital investments like thousands of dollars to get bigger screen so we can be immersed deeper into the show. We get better sounds, we get better streaming services. Excuse me. Like we willfully invest the thing that a lot of people kind of care the most about, like their money. Like the thing these people they face. Some people hate their job, but they do it because it pays money. Essentially, they're like, hey, you can disrespect me, you can make me miserable, but don't mess with my money. But they're taking that money that was earned through misery and they're investing it in something that could be used for good, but so often it's just used to numb you and to let other people influence your thoughts. We need to be careful. We need to be sensitive. It sounds dumb. It feels dumb to say be careful with watching TV. But it's true. I mean, TV is just so widely accepted, and it's part of our life. And it's like, be careful of the air you breathe. Well, I guess with the coronavirus, that's what we were doing. We were isolating, so we were careful with the air we breathe. And wearing masks because you want to be careful with the air you breathe. So we need to be aware of what we're watching. Really, we just need to stop watching. We need this entertainment, this comfort, this kind of living a pseudo life through the characters you watch on TV. It's like a dangerous and self-destructive thing. Like, it prevents us from living our lives. It prevents us from living a life that's fun. It prevents us from knowing real fun. It's a counterfeit. It's an imitation, and it just does not. It doesn't equal the real experience. I mean, it's like going outside and enjoying this nature and the birds and the green trees, just the leaves slightly swaying in the wind, the dew and the fog, and it's gentle and it's peaceful and it's soothing. But that same image, when it pops up on your computer screensaver, it's not quite the same thing. Just so peaceful. Just beautiful and simple. It's always been something with me. I don't know if it's the same with everybody, but like I can enjoy like any environment, like any situation pretty much. Like I love nature, but I love like the city too. It's like nature is soothing and the city is exciting. And like they all have their own opportunities. I like really nice things, you know, nice dinners, nice wine, whatever. I like good quality things, good quality clothes, good quality technology, good quality, you know, furniture and craftsmanship. But then also I like kind of dilapidated things, like old warehouses from like the turn of the century. I used to live in this loft and it was like 200 years old. The bricks were big. They're like twice as big as bricks that we typically see today, and it was real rustic. And in a way it was kind of dirty or whatever, but like I used to go to this place. It's an old cotton mill and it's like right on the river, and it's like they built a dam so it redirects some of the water underneath the mill, underneath the building, so it goes out to like a water electric generating facility like just in the back of it. And I used to go there before it was anything. Like it was, I don't know, a cotton mill until like 50s, 60s, 70s. Then they were trying to find something to do with it, and it was like it was a flea market for a little while, and then it just completely shut down. And it was like some of the wood floors were rotted, and like we would go there then, or like go to like downtown Atlanta and the, you know, ghetto or whatever, like the old rundown old industrial parts of it. And these old buildings, they're just might be missing walls or something, and they're missing windows and doors, and just stuff's hanging from the ceiling. And you go in and just seeing, I don't know, the character of the old buildings. And I guess is dreaming about the potential of what they could become. Maybe it's just about potential. And I'm just highly, or had been in the past, like highly optimistic. Right? My wife and her family really tried to quench that optimism. They do not like hope. But man, that was so bad for them. You know, they're just depressed. They're just like wicked and vile, and they don't know it. You know, it's like I thought like God was going to use me to like spread hope to them. Right? Like I come from a loving family and hopeful, and their family is not. Like their family has some deep-rooted, like generational problems. Like nobody in that family is able to receive love. Like they weren't loved from their parents or their grandparents, so I guess they were just treated as an object. You know, it's like There's no difference in that person or that old used tire sitting in the middle of the yard. They're all farmers and stuff. Well, on my wife's mom's side, but on the dad's side, it's like military and a lot of really cruel treatment and infidelity, and just like a big mess from her dad's dad. And so her dad never knew what love is, like never accepted it, like he tries to mimic it. Like he's a pastor now, and he tries to mimic love, but like if you try to speak Spanish and you never heard anybody speak it, I mean, you can kind of read about it, but you kind of learn about it the best you can, but you don't know how it's done, so you can't do it. If you've never seen it, if you weren't like brought up in it, especially from those young ages, like what is up till like 10, whatever, those foundational years, kids kind of learn they develop who they are, and they learn how to do life, kind of. So my poor wife, they're just broken. They don't know it, and I was hoping God was going to use me to help show them love, but they saw I wasn't really good at it. I didn't understand why somebody was just depressed all the time, even though I'd had my emotional ups and downs, but I couldn't understand. It's like, why are you choosing to just be miserable and depressed all the time? And then I suppose they just couldn't see what I was talking about. And I just kind of took it as they were just like lying, just to, they were just kind of taking a way out, like the easy way out. They were just kind of ignoring it. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I thought, like, why are you lying? How could you not know that you're depressed? How could you not know that taking 5 naps a day, is a sign of depression, or having no energy, or going out to the car that's parked in your driveway to cry? Like, seems like you would know that you're miserable and depressed. And like, whenever I was down, whenever I've been down, it's like, I know I'm down. I know I'm not happy. I don't know what to do about it. I would just go and think, okay, God, what is this? Why am I upset? Why am I having this problem? And that wouldn't get me out of the situation. Sometimes it would help me understand it a little bit better, but it wouldn't cure the problem. But my sister, she's just an awesome person. And she learned a lot from my little sister. I only have one sister, and so she's just a little younger than I am. And she faced some really, really hard times. But she's like tough as nails, and she's smart. She's like a girl of action. Right? She knows what needs to be done and does it. Like, She won't sit around and think about it too much, like analyze it. She just, okay, it needs to be done, so let's get it done. And so maybe that's what she was like with her hard times. You know, maybe what she would do is she would just, instead of like dwell in her loneliness, maybe there were times of that, but she would put herself in a situation where she was surrounded by fun, by happy people, and she would get out of that miserable spot. I guess where some people lean on TV to be their numbing thing, to hide from the world, to not hurt anymore, she did the really, really brave thing and put herself out there with people. You know, first I guess it was people that she trusted. She went out and she spent time with them. That she didn't give up on the people that she already had a relationship with, because some people she had a relationship with really hurt her. But she still leaned on the people that she trusted, that she knew, that she had experience with. And then I don't know, at some point she let other people in. And now she's just so generous, and like every Friday, like her place is the gathering place. Like in her little community. Like everybody comes over, like Friday night, she cooks. She's just social. She's strong. She's like made herself a person that everybody wants to be around, you know. And she's definitely opinionated, and she shares those opinions. People respect her for it. But like her place is like the gathering place, and thank God her husband is like the same way too, and like where he enjoys people over, and he's super generous with a lot of things, and they just, if there's a new person walking outside that, you know, they know is a part of their community, they're like, hey, come over Friday. Like, and they invest their time, and they invest some money in friendships. That's a really brave thing to do, especially after you've been hurt, to put yourself back out there. But unfortunately, I see like the church, you know, Christian people, they're not expressing love. You know, they're not extending friendship to people. You know, maybe like in passing, but generally go to church sometimes, or every time the doors are open, and then go home, or go eat with your own family. Don't spend any time with those other people that are in your church. And you go to work and you come home, lock the door, sit down in front of the TV and watch TV. You know, yeah, you know, you're busy, you have a family. Work and travel can consume a lot of time. Your commute, especially in Atlanta, it can be 2 hours a day. So you're at work 9 hours, you're driving probably 2 hours minimum. Then you have to take care of your kids. And like the day's over. You have to try to learn to live without any sleep. Or you live without any life. You're just in the routine. I think that's a horrible place to be. Granted, you get to socialize at work some. Hopefully work is a life-giving thing where it's like purposeful. Hopefully you're enjoying your spouse and taking time to know them. Date nights or date mornings, get up early and drink coffee together and just talk. And keep that relationship alive by doing things that remind you that you enjoy this person. And you're kind of with this person for a reason. Like one, yeah, God put it in place, but two, like you decided to join up with that person. Do things that help you remember why. Because our 50% and rising divorce rate is ridiculous. I think a lot of our divorce is accredited to, well, having those thoughts like pumped in our head that everything we see, the life that we see other people live on TV, well, it doesn't reflect our life, and well, we're not going to blame ourselves for it. We have to blame the other person that's responsible for our life. And then we want out. And also we spend time turned off instead of engaged with our partner in life. And the whole work situation doesn't help. I mean, money's necessary for sure, extremely necessary, but it's a tool. It's not the reason for life. Like your job is not a reason for life. It's not. In America, we glorify workaholics. Oh, you work 12 hours a day. Oh, that's amazing. You must be so safe and secure with your finances. You're really a hard worker, man. That's such a great, congratulations. I don't know how you do that. I wish I could do that. Or, get the promotions and the plaques and recognition and titles and stuff. But then we sacrifice our children, our family. They grow up not knowing who their parents are. They grow up not knowing who they are because their parents had not invested in them to know who they are. Like your sons, they need to be taught what it is to be a man. We can't depend on TV and school to teach them. That's dad's job. I got a bunny in the backyard. I saw him in the front yard yesterday. got within like 5 feet of him. He's real chill. But like same thing with our daughters. You know, like, Dad, it's your job to show your daughter how she should be treated. And if you're too busy working and you don't go on like dates with your daughter, if you don't show her how she's supposed to be treated, if you don't show her what like unconditional love is, well, she's gonna do what she sees on TV, and she's gonna act out what she sees women do on the screen, because like that's her guide through life. It's like the craziness with divorce. You know, dads are kicked out. You get to visit your kids 48 hours out of every 2 weeks. And that's not adequate. In my mind, we shouldn't be divorced. Like, almost no reason for divorce. It's not popular today, but like this whole, what did my wife file with, like, irreconcilable. I don't know what reconciliation was ever attempted. You know, like, I tried to save our marriage. I tried to please, let's go to counseling. Like, this is not working. We're not doing good. Like, please go to counseling. She wouldn't go. It was weird. She secretly went to a church counselor a couple times. Like, the only reason I knew about it is I came home one day and my mom was watching my kids. My wife was gone somewhere, and I didn't know she was going anywhere. And then she showed up eventually, and I think my mom said, "Oh yeah, well, she's going." He said she was going to the counselor. And then when my wife got back, and I don't know, we were talking over dinner or something, and, "Hey, where'd you go today?" "Oh, I just had some errands to run." I'm like, so after she left the first time and she came back and she was just acting weird, I started snooping, and like, she wouldn't tell me anything, and like this was the life of our family. Like, this is worth trying for, and well, you have to have information. And so anyway, I started snooping through stuff. Like, I'd found like a pregnancy test kit, you know, that she was hiding and she didn't tell me about. Found like in her journal that whenever she had gone, that she had gone to a counselor that day, and the counselor told her that she wasn't being very loving. That's what she wrote in her journal. And yeah, I never heard her or found that she ever went back. As far as I know, I think that was the last time she went to the counselor. But like, this is how did I get there? Wife, the counselor. Like treating kids how they want to be treated, remembering, you know, that you chose this spouse for a purpose. Even though, like, my marriage, we so did it backwards. I guess we kind of did it the normal way, since like 40% of firstborn children, I don't know if it's firstborn children or children total, are born to unwed parents. 40% is huge. And so, I mean, I guess that's pretty much the normal way things are done now. It's not the traditional way. I guess I should say that we got married. But I mean, I was committed. I wanted to make it work. I had kids and a baby mama, and I wanted to make it right. And I thought that if I committed, then she would commit, you know. But you know, I made a bunch of mistakes, and I know that I completely messed up, like date night stuff. I was like, we never made time for each other. We never made time to talk about good things or bad things, like privately, without the kids around. And part of it was because she was depressed. She was tired all the time. Or maybe she was just miserable, and that was her way of avoiding me. She would sleep. She'd sleep in the morning until right before I left. She would sleep at night right after I got back. And whenever I was gone, even with the kids, I would take the kids so that she could get some sleep. I'd find out that, you know, she was awake and kind of doing some shady stuff. But we never made time for each other. We stopped implementing time for us to rediscover, remind ourselves what we like about each other. And a big thing, I mean, we never took time to talk about the problems. We never took time to resolve anything. And I'm not always great with words, so there were a couple times when I was like, honey, you're miserable here, and why? Let's get to the bottom of this. Let's think this out. Can we do this? And like she would just give like such contradictory answers, and then like, well, that doesn't make any sense. So she's like, hey, you just don't. You know, she blamed me for not trying or not caring or something. But anyway, there was one of the times I was like, okay, here's a journal, here's this book, it's a nice book, this is our family, marriage, couple problem resolution journal. Like, let's write down the problems, let's talk about how we're going to fix it, let's talk about what we think. And so, like, okay, Rebecca, you go first. what makes you miserable? What do you not like about this house, this neighborhood? What do you not like about the community? Why are you miserable? Let's She'd give an answer, I'd write it down. She'd answer another question, I'd write it down. And then just after a couple, it was like, whoa, wait, on the first question you said you're miserable and lonely because you don't have any friends around here. But when I ask you, if we could get involved in a church, because that's your thing, you love going to church, like, let's get involved in a church around here so that you can have friends, you refuse to go to a local church. You only want to go to a church with a famous pastor. Anyway, I don't think that was a good explanation or example, but she would just contradict herself. And when I'm like, well, no, here, see, I wrote down the answer and you gave a different answer for that. I'm like, we're in this together. You know, we can get through anything together, but just please be honest with me. That was too much to ask, apparently. But I think it all kind of comes down to she didn't know what love was. She never experienced love. Like when I was doing my snooping, when I was going through her journal, I found that she had written, like early on, like 3 months after we got married, she was like, oh, I wasted my love on this guy I went to college with. But she was like, well, my love was wasted on the wrong person. And that person she said she loved, like, he cheated on her nonstop. Well, based on her stories. I don't know if any of her stories were true now after the divorce, and after I've seen kind of like our actions show who we are. And so after I've seen like her tricks played out like on somebody else or in a different way, like I see how she completely lied about me to make other people feel bad about her, and to show, you know, what a victim she is. I think she probably did that with her other relationship too. You know what I mean? Like she said she was raped by this guy. And then she said she ended up moving in with him. And she said he cheated on her all the time. And then finding in her journal where she says that was the guy that she loved. She said she went to college in Savannah, and she said she moved to Athens to get away from this guy. And well, in my snooping, I found that while I think it was like shortly after she moved to Athens, the place where she moved to get away from this guy, he was in her house, and they're like naked pictures, you know, like where they were having fun together. It's not like he was not welcome. And then the same thing, she went down to Savannah and stayed at his house. Like, this is all like pictures, like, and so so anyway, this was the guy she said she loved, and based on her stories, like, she loved a guy that raped her, beat her, and cheated on her. I never could understand. It was when we didn't really date much, you know. It's kind of one of those relationships, but we were always drinking. Like, let's go hang out, let's get some drinks, and she was always crying about something. I remember, I'm like, why are you crying? I don't understand. Why are you crying right now? She's just so broken, just so tormented. Poor girl, I wish she'd get some help. But I think it boils down to, like, she didn't know what love was because she never learned what love was from her parents. Her parents didn't know what love was because they didn't learn it from their parents. And it was reinforced, like the no love thing, for my wife trying to receive love from her grandfather, and she would tell me that he just didn't care about her, that he would, if she would go up to talk to her grandfather, he would say, well, where's your sister? You know, I want to spend time with your sister, not with you. It was like the gist she got from that, and that you are not worthy. So I'm fighting real hard to make sure my kids don't fall into that they know that they are worthy, that they know that they are loved. But my son especially, he was old enough to remember times when we were together, when the family was together, and how much we would play, and he is old enough to realize that he's hurting because he doesn't have his family together. And it just so breaks him. And he's having a belonging thing. Like, he's telling me he doesn't know where he belongs. He doesn't know who to trust because his mom will tell him one thing, and then it's just not true. Like, it's just simple things, like about the weather. Like, he'd come to me for a weekend, and like, his mom says it's going to rain all weekend, so you're not going to be able to do anything. I'm like, no, buddy, it's not supposed to rain. You know, maybe she was talking about down there, but oh no, he said, no, it's going to rain here all weekend. We can't do anything fun. And like I pull up the forecast, and like, here you go. See, like, there's no rain in the forecast. And he just like gets distraught. He just like, countenance on his face just like goes south, and he just kind of turns into a shell, you know? He like doesn't know how to process stuff like that. I guess, you know, I hate seeing that. I didn't realize it was going to cause such a problem, but now it's like, I'd rather him think it's going to rain all weekend and then just see for himself by being outside all weekend and playing, and then afterwards realize like, hey, well, it didn't rain. How about that? You know, instead of just like calling out his mom like that. Yeah, because he loves both of us. He doesn't know why we're separated or why we're divorced. Like, I don't know why we're divorced. You know, it's just what she wanted. But like, he just can't get what's that word? Closure. You just can't get closure for our divorce. I mean, I can't either. I don't get it for sure. But I want to make sure that my kids don't fall into this trap of no self-worth, of not knowing what love is. Like in the summer times, it's great. I get them for 2 weeks. And like the first week, they're just still kind of a shell. But then like the second week, they're like, they start playing and just start letting themselves like love and enjoy. They get out of that negative mindset where, oh, well, nothing's good is going to happen, that they portray down there with his mom and with his grandmother, and where they're just so negative and just depressed. Like they kind of get out of that mindset. But yeah, that's gonna fall on you. And so, you know, I just maybe most of the church is like that. Maybe they don't know love. They don't really know what love is, and that's why you self-medicate whenever you're hurting, right? You don't medicate whenever you're happy. You don't sit down and watch TV like whenever you're having a great time. You're at an amusement park or something, or you're playing a sport you enjoy, or you're hanging out with your friends. Like, you're not thinking about, man, I wish I could get back home and start watching TV. You know, my show's on. Sorry guys, I gotta leave y'all to go watch other people live. Because people prefer to live life, a full life. But we're stuck in this, living this counterfeit life, just through people. I think one of the solutions, it's in it's in the Bible, and I think God's way is just profoundly accurate in what people need, revealing and showing what people need. Everybody searches for love. Like, we just have that hole in us where we need love, we need acceptance, we need belonging, we need compassion, we need to know that people care. We can't do this life on our own. We can't do it well on our own. And for some reason, we're just living this counterfeit life where we're just so focused on ourselves, on avoiding pain or discomfort or social awkwardness or whatever level of discomfort by isolating, by watching TV. And like, everybody is experiencing loneliness, like record levels. People are experiencing extreme loneliness, and there's like, people are committing suicide. You know, there are governments are implementing like ministers of loneliness. They're recognizing, hey guys, we have a problem. We need to figure out what it is. Our people are killing themselves. They are not happy, not productive. They are, it's kind of a bad way, negative view, isn't it? Like, thinking that governments only want people not to be lonely so that they'll be productive and taxpayers. But anyway, people are, like, countries are setting up ministers of loneliness. Our people are lonely, let's figure out why. People are killing themselves. Well, loneliness leads to killing themselves. Let's figure out why this is happening, what to do about it. Like, countries are dedicating money to it, you know, and creating departments for it, task forces and whatever. Like, loneliness, depression go hand in hand. Loneliness and isolation go hand in hand. It's like the chicken or the egg, which one came first? Who knows, but you just have to choose to approach one of them or the other. Like, the root needs to be addressed. That's why pets are such a great thing. Like, they love you, they comfort you, they're your own little furry worry stone, you know. You just kind of Kind of rub them, makes you feel better. I wonder if cities and counties would be interested. I wonder if cities and counties would be interested in setting up like loneliness task forces. I mean, part of United Under God, us sharing our testimonies, us sharing our stories, our thoughts, our feelings, our pains, our worries, like how we overcame, how we are overcoming, the steps we're taking, the things that give us hope, things that get us out of our despair. Like sharing our stories, how you overcome suffering related to family or life or purpose. It's helping people find meaning, helping people overcome loneliness and worthlessness. I wonder if counties would be interested in this. Anyway, we have to find a way to show love. Teach people about love who never learned how to love when they were a kid, who never learned what love was, whose expectation of love is a shadow, a shell of what love really is. Teach people what acceptance, belonging, unconditional love is, commitment and acceptance. Accepting a person and being committed to them no matter what. Like, we're all going to make mistakes. Like, love is not contingent on you being perfect. None of us could live up to that. Let us find ways to love our neighbor, love the people around us. Like every self-help book or guru or podcast or whatever, it's Lewis Howes or Simon Sinek's. They're teaching principles and interviewing experts and different versions of making yourself a better person. And it all revolves around God's principles, what Jesus taught: love and acceptance, unity, shared purpose, sharing the things you have with people around you, serving other people. It's just this love. This love is all wrapped up into love. These self-help gurus are teaching love. They're teaching biblical principles. They're just doing it without teaching Jesus. It's going to end in a problem. Like it does not. It does not fit the need. It's like trying to use a dime to fill a quarter-shaped hole. It just doesn't work. It's close. It's the same shape. It's, it looks kind of right, but when you get close, it's wrong. It's not adequate. So you have to teach Jesus. You can't like teach like evolutionary love, like love, acceptance, belonging, compassion. It has no place in an evolutionary scope. But when there's intent and willful design and purposeful creation, that has love written all over it. So let us love. Let us go out and live out what Jesus teaches us. Actively loving our neighbor, doing things to help and to serve, overcoming their loneliness and overcoming their despair. I think that's the only thing. Like, words aren't going to, you can't convince somebody to get out of their depression. But I think you can guide someone to it. You can show somebody, you can be the example that there is a way, and that's what we do with our stories, our testimony. But hey guys, there's a way to get out of your pain, out of your suffering. But you kind of have to take them by the hand and guide them through. And that's what we're supposed to do. It's our jobs as Christians in this world, as representatives of Jesus, as representative of the provider, the creator of love. Our actions are supposed to display unconditional love and acceptance. So let us do this thing. You know, let us do this life the way Jesus taught it, the way God designed it. Let's do it together. Stop thinking about ourselves all the time. It's not about me. It's not about us. It's about each other. Let us do something great. Let us do something bigger than ourselves. Let us impact our world. Let us be the change that we want to see. Let us reflect Jesus, reflect love in everything we do. And point people to God, to Jesus. You know, we're not the source of this kindness that we're showing. No, it's because I received love and kindness from God. So I'm able to reveal it, show it to you. Well, thanks for your time. I hope y'all have a great day. Do something amazing.